Thank you very much. I see you nodding your head about that. It really is about the unity that you need to see.
Yes, it is, and we need to show the rest of the world that this kind of hatred is not okay, that maybe a lot of people did vote for Donald Trump, maybe a lot of people did elect him, but we need to show the whole world that a whole bunch of people do not support this kind of hatred, and a whole bunch of people are standing together with our Muslim brothers and sisters, with our black brothers and sisters, our Mexican brothers and sisters, to show that this is not okay.
And what do you think about the diversity you're seeing today and the ages? I mean, what does it feel like out there?
I love the diversity because it shows that people from all walks of life, all races, all socioeconomic backgrounds are coming together in support of each other and in support of unity.
And I like that so far it's been pretty peaceful. It's really about just getting the message out, correct?
Yes, it is. It is. We don't want to see people getting hurt. We don't want violence. We just want to see people coming together to support a good cause.
Thank you very much, you guys. I appreciate it. Just a couple of the marchers that have been out here as we've been doing it, and everybody with, this has been the common theme we've been seeing, not my president. I know you obviously would like it to change, the election results to change. What do you really want to see from today's march?
From today's march, I think I've already seen it. I've seen people come together, and as we were saying, the diversity of the crowd is amazing. This is what America is. America is already great. All of our colors, all of our sexualities, all of our genders, this is what we're about. We're the land of immigrants. We're the land of progression. We're not the land of regression, of divide, and of hate. So I've already seen it.
Do you think that more needs to be done to kind of bring the country together since this election was so divisive? And kind of how do we accomplish that?
How to accomplish uniting together? Well, I think it's important that we have these marches where we all see each other for who we are, and we all accept each other for who we are. Our nation is extremely split right now, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time to heal, but we have gone through lots of horrible things in our history. And I have no doubt that in our already great country that we will be able to overcome this. We will be able to stand stronger than ever. But we gotta get rid of the hate first.
Thank you so much. Really, that's the underlying theme, is getting rid of that hate, ending that discrimination that so many feel that they are seeing in the country. We're starting to see, I think we're getting close to the end of the march here. It's starting to at least thin out the crowd a little bit, but as I look down Wilshire, I can still see people coming. I also see where traffic is trying to make its way through. I'm not sure how that happened, but some of the cars are ending up kind of stuck in the back end of this march as it's continuing down Wilshire. Again, they're getting to Figueroa. They're turning north on Figueroa. That's where they've been going, and kind of forcing them that way. But as you can see, still quite a few people making their way along Wilshire here. I talked to the police, the LAPD, just a short time ago. They said that the turnout they think is about 10,000, and they said that they have seen absolutely no problems so far. They said it has simply just been a peaceful protest, no signs of any graffiti, no signs of any confrontations or conflicts out here. They said there have been no arrests that they know of yet, and that this has been an extremely peaceful protest, and that's exactly what the LAPD says it wanted to see. That's what they were in support of, to make sure that everybody can exert their right and come out and make their voices heard here as this march continues. As I said a moment ago, I thought we were getting towards the end of the march here, but I see another kind of flood of people. It's just amazing to see how many have turned out for this. They just keep coming, and I think that in and of itself says a lot about what people are feeling about this election and the election results. John and Christina, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio at this point.
All right, thank you so much, Leanne. Yeah, we've been seeing the same thing you've been seeing on the ground, just wave after wave. Scott had a shot, I think it was on Flower, where it was just the congestion of people was unbelievable. It didn't even look like there was room to turn around. I could see people carrying the Mexican flag, the Brazilian flag. Obviously, we saw the person that she interviewed with the LGBTQ flag around, some other flags.
We had a mom earlier with her children out there, a really mixed crowd of different people coming together for this cause.
Signs.
Yeah. The problem, of course, is, this crowd stretched out over 2 miles, and now it's coming downtown, and it's all going to start squeezing together. And the question is there room for all these people.
I've been wondering that just as soon as we started seeing the sheer masses, is
Yeah.
to think that they're all going to congregate in one area.
Their goal is to get to the Federal Building in downtown Los Angeles, if you're wondering, from MacArthur Park to the Federal Building. And now they're starting to get close. Chelsea Edwards is there watching that, so we'll be keeping an eye on it. Yeah, but you can see they're nice and spread out here. They got a lot of room, but they're going to run out of room at some point.
Yeah, they started, if you're just joining us, they started this march about an hour and 20 minutes ago, roughly around 10 o'clock. And again, we've just seen so many people. Just every time you think that it's about to stop, there's another wave that comes on through. And you know, Los Angeles is not the only place that's having protests. We're on day 4 of protests out here. New York and Union Square, I think a few thousand they figure turned out there. Chicago, they're counting about a few hundred or so. And then, of course, overnight in Portland, Oregon, they had some violence there with a shooting, a protester being shot, although those injuries not life-threatening. We don't have too many more details than that. So certainly Los Angeles not alone in these protests this morning.
If you are traveling near downtown LA, you probably want to stay out of the area and take a look at this image. You can see why the crowd now making its way through streets where there is car traffic going on too. These drivers kind of caught up in this, and they're probably stuck there until this crowd makes its way through. It could be a while. Let's hope this works its way out peacefully, because sometimes we'll see tensions get a little hot and heated when the crowd mixes like this with people who are not interested in protesting today.
Or may have opposite viewpoints.
Right. There may be some Trump supporters who are offended by some of these comments. But so far, this has been incredibly peaceful. We're happy to report for you. We can't say that about every protest so far. Last night, we had some in L.A. where several hundred people were arrested. No reports of arrests in this demonstration, which is much, much larger than that.
Yeah, we hope it stays that way. But that is just quite a scene to see those massive amounts of people working their way through the traffic and through those cars that are stopped. Those aren't parked, well, they're parked for right now, but they were on their way somewhere.
Yeah, and they got caught up in this. So let's hope this works its way out. We have Scott Reif up in Air 7 HD watching it all. Scott, can you give us an update on what we're looking at?
Yeah, Johnny, you know, it's quite phenomenal because what happened, Wilshire's pretty wide. Then they went northbound on Figueroa, and then I'm not sure if LAPD diverted them onto 3rd or if that's just the way the crowd went. But when it went down 3rd Street to the east away from Figueroa, it got onto a narrower street. And I want to tilt up and show you, now you really get the sense of how big the crowd is because it's not stretched out along a several-mile stretch of roadway or several. It's all narrowed down into 3rd Street where it goes underneath the bridge. So top of your screen, check this out. This is a group that's been funneled down away from Figueroa on to 3rd Street, headed towards, I believe, Main and then northbound. But now you get a sense of just how many people there are as we take a look at this shot, which isn't anywhere close to the end. We just can't see around the bend. That's Figueroa and 3rd. So we'll come out towards us once again. We're east of that, and the folks are headed eastbound. You go under the tunnel at 3rd, and then all the folks that were on 3rd, as we're going to see in this shot in just a moment, they're stranded, and there's nothing they can do. They can't move right down in here until the crowd moves through. Go down a little bit, Trace, and you'll see the cars. And so that's what we're looking at. Once again, I'm not sure if that's because LAPD moved them this way or if the crowd just went that way instead of taking Figueroa all the way up to Temple. But that gives you an idea why you don't want to be in downtown. And I just want to give you a wide shot to show you some perspective, and it gives you a little bit of an idea how many people are here. You see the LAPD helicopter headed over. Bottom of your screen, there's still more we can't really show you, or we can tilt down a little bit. I think they're going to turn onto Main Street, which is a little further below us there. But we'll tilt back up and just show you that shot. I mean, there's even people northbound now on Main as they string along, but they all got stranded and funneled down into that 3rd Street corridor as it crosses under the tunnel there towards Broadway and Hill Street. But it is a massive, massive crowd, and really this is, about 3/4 of a mile from where Leanne is, and there's still people joining there. So as you mentioned, once they get to their destination, it's certainly going to be interesting. And there's so many people. There'll be so many streets shut down. Don't head down there. We're starting to see parts of the 101 freeway exits closed because they don't want cars in here. A 110 freeway, they have some off-ramp shut down as well, trying to divert traffic to the south now to get them away from being stranded, and that's certainly what you wouldn't want to be a part of. But everything so far looks very peaceful as far as the route. That has changed several times, but it's an amazing protest. It's a massive amount of people, and I don't believe I've ever seen anything like this. The Laker Parade was more people, but certainly it wasn't, based on what we're seeing here today.
And Scott, I apologize if you've just already said this, but can you tell about how far away from the federal building that first part of the crowd is? Do you have any idea?
Not far at all. We'll try and come to that shot. You know, it's difficult for us in the helicopter. You know, it's really a hard job for us when we peek down these little streets because the helicopter has to stay in one little spot, and it's hard to keep everything in sight. But there they are, and then the federal building's only a few blocks away up to the north. So the front of the crowd is very close to being at the federal building. Then you have thousands of people stranded at Figueroa and 3rd, funneling down into that area where you go underneath the tunnel, and still more people leaving MacArthur Park. So it's going to be interesting to see how all these people get where, how they actually set up when they get to the federal building. But they're very close, actually. I think they're only a few blocks away. The front of the crowd should be there very soon.
All right, Scott, thanks for that. We want to go back to Leanne Suter. She is on the ground with these protesters as they make their way to that federal building. Leanne, I understand you have somebody else to talk to. Leanne, I understand you have...
Sorry, it's so hard to hear with this protest going. We're going to talk more. It's okay. It's okay. Talk to me. You brought your granddaughter out today. Why is that important?
Because I wanted her to see what civil protest is about and understand how we can create change through our voices this way.
And were you amazed at the turnout from this? I mean, are you surprised or did you know it would be this big?
I don't have any comment on the turnover, but it's pretty powerful.
And what does it feel like to be out there among the crowd doing this?
There's a lot of energy, and it really makes you want to. It really makes you want to reach that divide and have a conversation and to change things.
Since you brought your granddaughter out here, what are you hoping you see for her future?
I hope for her we see a future that we can talk to and have our conversations when we disagree and work together to create the kind of community we want to live in.
Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. What for you? What's it been like to be out here?
It's a little scary because there's hate spreading.
Yeah. What was it like to see all the people though kind of come together?
I don't know.
A little overwhelming, I know. Thank you very much, you guys, very much. Just an example of what's happening. And then we take a look. I think we are actually getting to the end now. I thought we were before, but then there was another massive wave. It's surprising me, to be honest with you. It had a lull in the protester, and I thought that was it. But as I'm looking back here, I still see more coming. But I see the police cars. That's the end of the road here on Wilshire, but there are still more protesters up on the sidewalk. Just a thinner group, fewer numbers that are coming out. But this really has been amazing to see how many people have turned out for this march, and so many different people that have come out to do this and to make their voices heard and to really express how they're feeling about everything. Again, we're seeing the LAPD, numerous police cars here at the end of it. Just for a second, as we're to show the end of this, and so this is the end of the march here at this point, and then the massive group continuing into downtown and certainly making their way to the federal building. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks so much, Leanne. And Leanne has really been in the thick of it for the last hour and a half or so. But we want to head over to Chelsea Edwards, who is at the federal building. That's where the marchers are all headed. That is their destination. So we want to head over to her camera and see if she's seen them just yet. It looks like you are, right, Chelsea?
Yes, indeed. We're taking a live look right now. This group coming up, as you can see lots of flags being held, LAPD officers staking right in front of them with their motorcycles. This has been obviously an organized protest. We just talked to the LAPD saying that they've been corralling them, trying to keep this peaceful. They want people to be able to express themselves. They want to be able to protest peacefully, and that's why they changed course a little bit. They changed route in order to get here to the federal building. They were keeping everybody in check and making sure that they didn't get into any construction or any traffic issues while they made their march up here. As you can see, it looks like they've stopped a little bit just ahead of the federal building where we are. Let's listen to some of this sound. We got an interview quickly with the LAPD just a few moments ago. Listen here.
Right now, the crowd estimate is over 3,000 individuals. They've been marching from MacArthur Park, and their destination is here to the federal building. We've brought in a lot of officers. We've brought in our Metropolitan Division, mounted unit, our motorcycle officers. So we're trying to facilitate the safe movement of that crowd from their destination to their destination here at the federal building. At this point, it's been peaceful. They followed the request of the officers for where they can go, the route that we'd like them to take, and that route's determined upon traffic and the safest way to get them from MacArthur Park here to the federal building. And, you know, there's a lot of construction downtown right now, so something has to be based on the size of the group, the width of the streets, and again, the safest way to get them from there to this federal building. This is tape that's just put up there that they are not supposed to go on. This is federal property, so we've asked the crowds to respect the areas that we can provide for them and that we can safely monitor. Unlawful behavior is going to result in an arrest. So that means if you're in the street and if there's a dispersal order given and you do not disperse, you're always given an exit route and a time that you have to disperse by, then we're going to be making arrests. Vandalism, not permitted. If we can identify who is vandalizing property, then we're going to be making arrests. If you aren't participating in this march and this protest, you should be avoiding most of the downtown area for the majority of the early afternoon.
And back to this live look, getting closer, just about
right
to
now,
cross this intersection on Temple Street and about to come over here.
And their destination is here.
And Chelsea, I know the estimate from police was 3,000 people in this crowd. It seems like it's much larger than that, but we'll probably have a better tally later on today as they get all in one spot. Chelsea, how much room is there down there for protesters? I mean, I don't think there's a lot of room around that federal building.
Yeah, well, if you take a look out here, it's very loud here, so I'm going to step in front of the camera a little bit. If we push out to see where it appears that they're headed, this is the plaza here in the federal building. Now, they blocked off this section of the streets, as you can see, or not of the streets, of the stairs. That's where authorities do not want these protesters to go. This is federal property, and they want to try to prevent any kind of vandalism. If we spin out over here, we'll take a look. They're coming in right now. So there is quite a bit of space, but this is obviously a very big crowd. So I'm not sure. And obviously some profanity being used. We apologize for that. But if you see, we're here, all these signs now coming here, all marching up the street. Now, it appears at this point that they're marching beyond the federal building. The plan that we understood was that they would stop here at this plaza, stop at some point in front of this. But as you can see, they're continuing to go on Temple Street. Not exactly clear where they're headed at this point. We will, of course, keep you posted. But you can see lots of marchers holding signs. We're hearing those chants we've been hearing for the last several days. Not my president. You can see people turning this corner as of now. So again, still a fluid situation. Not clear where they're headed at this point. The plan was initially to stop right where we are here at the federal building here on Temple. You can see some armed officers sort of guarding this entrance here. This is where we understood that they were going to stop, but as you can see, they're continuing on. If we look down Temple, you can see those flags continuing to march up the street. Let's see if we can talk to somebody to figure out exactly where they're going on there. Hi there. Excuse me. So where are you guys? We understood that you were headed. All right. They're not going to talk to us. Let's try to find somebody else.
Donald Trump.
We're going to try to avoid that. We apologize for those for that profanity. Let's take a look. Where are you guys headed at this point? We understood you were headed to the federal building. Is that right? But
I think Grand Park or the federal building. I'm not sure.
We're at the federal building now, but we're obviously continuing to go on. So Grand Park, we think at this point?
I think so.
All right, so there you have it. Appears to be headed to Grand Park at this point, not the federal building. Last night when we were talking to some of these protesters, we understood that they were heading to City Hall initially. That at some point changed with some of the organizers, and the plan was to come here to the federal building. So still marching. We will keep you updated as this march continues. Let's toss it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Chelsea. And yeah, that would make sense if they were thinking of City Hall originally. Grand Park, obviously, just across the street from City Hall. And I know from covering events at the federal building, there's not a lot of room for the amount of people that are there.
This is probably a very good thing that they're going to Grand Park. They'll have some room to set up, and you won't have a lot of people banging into each other, which is where the problems sometimes come up. So maybe this will work out good.
Interesting, though, to see the crowd that just surrounded Chelsea. Very different from the crowd that was surrounding Leanne.
And they were the ones leading this march.
Right.
Clearly the more militant members of this protest.
Vocal.
We don't know how big they are, but yeah, the tone very different with them. Leanne had a much more moderate, much more mixed and diverse crowd with her. So, and there's always that militant element to these protests, and sadly sometimes they're the ones who end up causing trouble, and the rest of the people are like, hey, we just came out here to show our feelings.
And sadly, those are the ones that usually get all the media's attention. So it is nice, though, that we've seen a diverse crowd, that we've seen a lot of different people, a lot of different different faces that have participated in this march, the reasons that they've come out, a lot of them very articulate in their reasons, saying, that they don't expect anything to change as far as the election results go, but certainly they are hoping to influence and to have President-elect Trump hear them and hear their messages and really unite and lead everybody, which is something that we have heard Mr. Trump say once he came out and did his acceptance speech. But of course, a lot of people waiting to see if that actually comes true.
We have not heard of any reports of trouble so far, which is amazing just because of the size of this crowd. It's a massive crowd covering a very large area, and so far, fortunately, no reports of any trouble. We don't know if we're just not getting the reports yet, but so far that's what we have. We have no reports of any incidents involving vandalism, graffiti, that sort of thing.
And it's looked pretty peaceful, too. We've had Air 7, Scott Reif, up above for most of this, too, and it didn't look like any trouble. Even the parts where they were being redirected down 3rd Street, and they were going past, these scores of people going past cars just stuck in the middle of these
I think you
people.
can see some of that there, the vehicles
Exactly.
stuck with the crowd moving around them, and unfortunately those people are kind of stuck for now. We want to go back to Chelsea Edwards. I understand she has someone to talk to in that crowd. Chelsea.
Well, that's right. Take a look. Pushing a stroller, have gone this entire route from MacArthur Park to where we are downtown now at Los Angeles and Temple Street. Why is it so important, and why are you pushing the stroller this whole way?
So this little girl right here is 3.5 years old. Her mother came to this country from Mexico when she was 7, fleeing violence from the cartel. And her mom is now what we call DACA, which means that she has deferred action for childhood arrival. So under the Obama administration, she was protected from deportation. She got her Social Security number. She's now working 3 jobs and in community college, working to become a nurse. Obama has pledged that in his first 100 days, he will repeal DACA, which means that her mother will now be eligible for deportation and will lose her right to work and her right to go to school. So it's really important for us to make this march because she doesn't want to be separated from her mom.
Now, how does this march help? I mean, you guys have marched all the way. I mean, this is the 4th day that we've had marches similar to this in this area in downtown Los Angeles, but you've marched all the way from MacArthur Park. How does this movement help what you believe in?
So this is the first step. I think we want media coverage. We want people to know that this is the beginning of organizing. There are many groups like DACA's, who we also call Dreamers, who are starting to organize now. And, I think this was an unexpected election. So unfortunately, we don't have the organization structure that we need yet. But this is a first step to let the American people know, the majority of the American people who voted for Hillary Clinton, the majority of the American people who voted against Donald Trump, just to remind them that this is the beginning. And, we fully accept the results of the Electoral College. We know that this man is going to be our president, but we have work to do to protect people like this little girl's mom.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And take a look. This is happening right now. It looks like we've stopped. We're starting to stop a little bit. And again, we're right in the intersection of Temple Street and Los Angeles. Not clear what's going on up here, but we appear to have stopped. This is actually the other side, now that I look at this, of the federal building. So they may be coming out and stopping in this part of it. We had thought initially they were going to stop on the side of it where we were, but it appears that this group is stopping now. Let's take a look at what's going on. Now we can see the group of flags that appear to be leading this march over there to the right. They're on the steps of this building. Everybody else sort of spilling out into this intersection. And if we pan over to the left here, you can see people standing. We've got a sign in front of us right now, but you can see people standing on these walls. Not clear what's going to happen here at this point, but certainly seems to have stopped. Do not appear to be marching anymore at this point. We will, of course, bring you updates as we get them. Lots of cheering right now. We'll keep you posted. If we look up there, we can see a man standing on top of this bus stop, the Temple bus stop, holding a sign, face covered by a bandana. We've seen quite a bit of that on this march today. Lots of people covering their faces. Again, so far peaceful, though. It appears to be a peaceful gathering now. We're hearing some drums going on in a circle over there. And the chanting started again. We reject the president-elect. Look, we've got another person on top of this bus stop now holding the flag of California. This crowd getting louder as they prepare to what appears to be a rally and possibly the ending point of this part of the march.
All right, Chelsea.
Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Chelsea. It looks like, again, she's mentioned the crowd kind of stopping and gathering for a chant. Scott Reif has a great view from Air 7 HD. Scott, what are you seeing?
Well, this is the end, at least for now. You know, it's come on some routes that we really didn't expect at this protest. It ended up on Los Angeles Street just before the 101 freeway. It's a Los Angeles Mall on the right, and it's a U.S. District Courthouse on the left. Here's the interesting thing. As we come down towards us with the camera, you know, LAPD, it looks like, are probably not going to let them come any further to the north because they do not want them on the freeway. Once a crowd decides to go one way or the other, that could be a problem. That's the 101 freeway right there at Los Angeles Street. Remember what happened in the Hollywood area the other night when the crowd got on the 101, so they don't want that to happen. We'll tilt up and show you, though, there are so many more people coming, and this is a small fraction that have got to the end, if we believe that is. As we go to the left there, then we go up, it looks like San Pedro Street, and the top of your screen is San Pedro in 3rd, and there's still 3 times as many as what you see on 3rd Street coming away from Figueroa. It's just blocked from our view. If you can see a little bit of it off to your right. But it looks like at this point in time, we are going to have just a phenomenal amount of people right there in front of the Los Angeles Mall and the U.S. District Courthouse, if that does become the end of the route. They've taken some routes that we really didn't think they would, so we'll have to see from here. But with this amount of people right here will grow tenfold once everyone gets here. And once again, I don't think they'll let them come to the north because they don't want them towards the 101 freeway there, but it's not exactly where we thought it would end, at least as far as the information that I was given. But it looks like, at least for what we can tell now, this could be the end point, or the rally point, if you will. Another interesting thing will be how the crowd disperses, how long they stay here, and then what route they take to get out to MacArthur Park, where it really sort of started. I'm sure a lot of people joined at different areas. But don't come into downtown if you're driving. The 101 freeway, a lot of off-ramps are shut down. It's moving okay, the 101, and the 110 is moving fine. Most of the big problem is right in the heart of downtown, but they're stopping a lot of vehicles from actually getting access to the protesters and to the rally end here.
Yeah, and Scott, you bring up a good point. The whole thought of how this is going to disperse and where all these people are going to go and get all the way back to MacArthur Park. I mean, this could have ramifications well into the day, way more so than we saw, because on the way here, it did seem pretty well controlled, although it did take a few different turns than we had anticipated. But on the whole, it was pretty well managed and guided.
Absolutely, and think about this for a second. You know, for the LAPD, I mean, it's been a peaceful protest. It's been fantastic so far. It's what you'd expect. It's really been ideal. But when the crowd disperses and it breaks up into a bunch of little groups that head away, strategically and logistically, it is a nightmare, because now you don't have everybody in the same spot. And if you do get a crowd that gets unruly, you get multiple calls in different locations, and very difficult to respond to everything or to know which locations to respond to. I certainly don't hope, or I certainly don't hope that happens. We don't even think that's going to happen, but that's something the police have to keep in mind. When this crowd disperses, depending on when that is, later into the afternoon here, exactly how those different groups start to head back towards MacArthur Park, logistically it is very difficult to contain and then to protect not only the people that are leaving. They want to protect them. They start getting on streets, they block the streets, there's cars coming, there's blind curves, there's all sorts of different dynamics they have to look at, and then if it does get unruly, it becomes extremely tough to try and control.
Scott, the official numbers we're getting from police on crowd size are about 3,000. Is that close to what you're seeing? I know it's difficult to gauge numbers like that.
It really is, John, but you know, from my experience covering crowds, they usually we end up exponentially making it larger than it is for some reason. We talked about 500,000 at the Laker Parade. I don't think it hit that, but I can tell you for certain it's a lot more than 3,000. That number doesn't appear to me to be anywhere close, and I just say that from some of the guidelines I used to try and figure out how many people were in one area, and this is not even close to all the people. It still rounds the bend on 3rd Street, headed away from Figueroa. So if you start a count, I mean, right in there, you have 400 or 500 people. If you really sit down and start counting, which I did. So it's definitely more than 3,000. I don't want to start throwing out some huge numbers. I think it's over 10. That's just my assessment from what I've seen. But 3,000 seems like a very conservative number.
Yeah.
And Scott, from that picture right there, looks like a few cars trapped among the people. Is this then, are we close as far as orienting us to where they're all culminating? I'm just thinking of the potential headache for those people if they get swarmed, of those drivers, if they get swarmed by the people and can't get out for who knows.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that happened, and I'm not sure why it happened the way it did. You know, we really had a route that we expected it to travel. And if LAPD had a route, they'd want to keep them on that route, right? Because that just means they have more resources where they need them. All of a sudden, instead of coming up Figueroa to Temple, they turned on 3rd Street. Now, I'm not certain if LAPD did that or the crowd just started moving, and boy, once they move, you don't have enough officers who are going to go where they want for the most part. On 3rd Street, there's still a lot of folks stranded. They're trying to keep traffic away from this area. You see the LAPD presence on the top of your screen. They've shut down the off-ramps from the freeway because they don't want those folks to get stranded. But they got hammered on 3rd Street, and I think because they didn't expect the crowd to come down 3rd, and that's one of the reasons there was a lot of traffic on 3rd. I don't believe they expected to use 3rd originally, and then there were folks who were just stranded maybe for hours. You can't see them in this shot. You know, it's impossible when you have buildings like this for us to set up and show you everything. Top of your screen is 3rd Street turning onto Los Angeles. They take in Los Angeles up to Temple, and then they turned around and they went towards the Los Angeles Mall. But there are still people that are stranded, but as the crowd moves closer to their destination, we'll see less and less of that.
Scott, we heard from Chelsea that this crowd was planning to head to Grand Park. Are you getting any sense they're moving in that direction?
If they continued north, they could get to Grand Park. I mean, I thought they were going to go a little further west on Temple towards the federal building instead of the U.S. District Court building. It could have been LAPD's strategy to get them in an area where they thought a crowd this size could gather a little easier, especially since we heard that talk about them not being allowed on the federal property or a portion of it. I guess they could get to Grand Park, but they're going to have to come further north if I'm familiar with exactly where Grand Park is. I don't see that at this time, but certainly, you know, things can change pretty quickly.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting to see what they all do when they all do finally get to that destination and see what is planned and what morphs and what happens. Because, I mean, they could be waiting for quite a while.
You know, let me give you a shot here. Tracy, just tilt straight up. So here's the crowd where it's ending right now. Just straight up the street, Los Angeles Street. And I know there's no one on there, but at the top of your screen, there's 3rd. Now, that's 3rd Street still going east. And then if we pan to the right, we're going back to the west. Go to the right, Trace. There's still more people coming down 3rd. To the right is where 3rd, you're going to see where 3rd goes underneath through the tunnel all the way back over to Figueroa. So if we keep going and we keep going, that's Figueroa. And there's just even to the right more. I think it's one more street to Figueroa. You see how difficult it is with all the buildings in here.
Right.
And that gives you some scope. Yeah, unfortunately, we just can't see Figueroa and 3rd. There's where you go underneath the tunnel right there.
Right.
But as we pan back to the left and just give you some perspective, you know, it's blocked by some of these buildings. I mean, 3,000?
Right.
Yeah. You know, I don't think that's anywhere close to 3,000
Perhaps
people.
that was an
I don't
initial
want to start
estimate.
moving the. Yeah, I don't want to, you know, make the number grow like happens sometimes when you see these things and you start, you know, saying numbers that are just higher than it is. But I'll be shocked if it's not 10,000 people involved.
Right. And you've covered plenty of these, and you have a pretty good perspective on these things. Scott, have you noticed anything with police tactics? I know last night they were splitting the crowd up and trying to get them into small, controlled groups. We're not seeing that at all today.
No, not at all. Trace, come back out and come to where the crowd is gathering because it's really growing very quickly. No, we haven't seen anything as far as tactics are concerned to split the crowd up. Everything is moved very peaceful. And in the route, though, we didn't expect, as I mentioned earlier, which was somewhat confusing because I think it would have been easier if it stayed on the route they originally decided to go. It made several turns that we didn't think it would. But as far as tactics are concerned, we haven't seen them have to really move into the crowd. We haven't seen the police really participate too much, and I think that is the key in these types of things. The less participation that the police have, probably the better a protest, and when it ends up in a rally, the better it goes. Because, you know, there's that breaking point where we got to get them to disperse, and then they're frustrated because they have to do something they don't want to. And I think the police right now, I heard Chief talk about this constitutional policing, and that is just giving them an avenue to protest what they want to protest, giving them an avenue to do what they really have a right to do, and then just trying to back away from too much confrontation. Unless, of course, they break the law, they do something they absolutely should not do. The police presence wants to be as small as possible, and I think they've really succeeded so far. You know, I mean, what happens later on in the afternoon, it's kind of warm. It's not really hot, but you know how it can get if it's real hot out, and you're out like this with a lot of people. You just get a little testy, if you will, at times. Right. Certainly, you know, you've been walking for what now, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, 2.
So thirsty, hungry, all sorts of those things start to play into it. You know, the police are great at this. They are trying to, you know, really have their expectations met that it'll be peaceful, but they're actually, you know, setting up to try and be ready for anything. It's difficult, but that's what they're trying to do. And their presence has been, I think, held back right now, but I think it's been a great thing.
And hopefully the fact that this did begin at 10, it began earlier in the day, hopefully it will give the protesters, as you were mentioning, a chance to do what they want to do, go late into the day with, you know, there's still being plenty of daylight in it, not having to stretch into the nighttime where we've seen some of the other protests get a little out of hand.
And let us just recap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, Scott, let us just recap for everybody, anybody who's just joining us. This started around 10 this morning at MacArthur Park, a planned protest, a massive crowd of a mixed diversity, all sorts of people from all walks of life gathering on this day to let their feelings be known about the election results, an anti-Trump protest, we've been calling it. But the tone has been fairly positive with most of the people that Leanne Suter, I know, has been talking to. They started at MacArthur Park around 10 this morning. They made their way down Wilshire, down Figueroa. The goal was supposed to be the federal building in downtown LA, but now they're moving beyond that point, and you can see they're gathering here now. A massive crowd, and so far a very peaceful crowd. We've not had any reports of trouble so far.
Yeah, we did see a bit different crowd from Leanne's camera, who was in the thick of it for quite a while. This was, what, a two-mile stretch about? Right. She was getting wave after wave, all very peaceful there. And then Chelsea is stationed at the federal building where this was supposed to end and all culminate. We saw a little bit rowdier of people there, just using some profanity and that, but still peaceful. And then now you can see this is kind of moved on down the way. We got some word that maybe it was headed to Grand Park, which is just across the street from City Hall. It doesn't look like it's moving. It looks like it's stopped here for the time being, at least as the crowds kind of just start amassing and the trail of people starts
and
ending up here.
Chelsea had the front of the crowd, which is always the more militant, you know, the ralliers, the organizers, and she was dealing with that. Leanne had a bigger mix in the middle. Also, Chelsea spoke with police a little earlier about how they're going to deal with this crowd. She talked about the size of the crowd. Let's listen into that interview.
Right now, the crowd estimate is over 3,000 individuals. They've been marching from MacArthur Park, and their destination is here to the federal building. We've brought in a lot of officers. We've brought in our Metropolitan Division, mounted unit, our motorcycle officers. So we're trying to facilitate the safe movement of that crowd from their destination to their destination here at the federal building. At this point, it's been peaceful. They followed the request of the officers for where they can go, the route that we'd like them to take, and that route's determined upon traffic and the safest way to get them from MacArthur Park here to the federal building. And, you know, there's a lot of construction downtown right now, so something has to be based on the size of the group, the width of the streets, and again, the safest way to get them from there to this federal building. This is tape that's just put up there that they are not supposed to go on. This is federal property, so we've asked the crowds to respect the areas that we can provide for them and that we can safely monitor. Unlawful behavior is going to result in an arrest. So that means if you're in the street and if there's a dispersal order given and you do not disperse, you're always given an exit route and a time that you have to disperse by, then we're going to be making arrests. Vandalism, not permitted. If we can identify who is vandalizing property, then we're going to be making arrests. If you aren't participating in this march and this protest, you should be avoiding most of the downtown area for the majority of the early afternoon.
All right, and you do see Chelsea Edwards right there. Chelsea, have you moved? I know you were originally based at the federal building. Have you moved with the crowd? Where are you now?
Little hard to hear. It's very, very loud out here. You've got thousands of people gathered. We actually moved with the crowd from the federal building where they were supposed to or had planned to at one point to gather. They've moved on past there, but as you can see, looking at this crowd, have stopped right here. I heard Scott overhead taking a look at this crowd. We're right on Temple near Los Angeles Street, right at the Los Angeles Mall, and you can see thousands of people kind of gathered in this intersection. Now, we just came out from the middle of that, right in the middle, and there's where they're having some speeches. Kind of hard to hear because there are so many people, and there are several things going on at this point. You can hear behind me over here at the Los Angeles Mall, if we look up here, lots of chanting going on there, some separate organized groups seem to be rallying over there. The main one, though, that sounds like it just wrapped up was over here on the steps. We can hear them shouting again on a loudspeaker. So a couple of different things happening. Unclear where this group is going to go. I've talked to several people who are standing here, and they say the plan was to go to Grand Park. Others say they were planning to go to City Hall. Others say they're just going with the flow, not exactly sure where they're going to end up today, but certainly thousands of people here in downtown Los Angeles, and not clear where they're going to go after. Now, if we can take a look actually down here, this is Arcadia Street. You can see officers who are stationed right there on motorcycles and sort of blocking that entrance. As we've been talking about, really has not been a lot of police involvement. This has been a peaceful rally and protest so far. No arrests have been made, at least have been reported by the LAPD. But as you can see from this vantage point, they are ready in case anything gets unruly. And actually, if we can walk a little bit and look over to this way, over to that freeway entrance to the South 101, you can see a line of police officers. Now, that's what we've been seeing night in, night out. This is what they're trying to block people from getting on the freeway, like we saw that very first night of protest here in downtown Los Angeles. Of course, this is our fourth day of protest. So if we look over here, just noticing this, there are several police officers, a line of police officers also lined on the off-ramp coming off the 101 freeway. So really trying to make this a peaceful protest. Officers do not want to make any arrests. They don't want this to get unruly, and they do not want people on the freeway. So obviously taking a lot of precautions, making sure that no matter what happens today, everybody stays safe, and just hoping that everybody can remain peaceful and not make this a violent demonstration of any kind, and not obstructing traffic of any kind like we saw that first night of protests. So taking a look back, we can see this group still gathered here in this intersection, and quite a few people now starting to disperse. Doesn't look like they're in any kind of organized groups. They look like individuals who are sort of walking away from the crowd. Not clear exactly where they're going or where this group is heading, where they intend to go after this, but everyone seems to have stopped here, seems to be peaceful so far. I do have to say, in the middle of this, there's a Donald Trump piñata that has been torn to bits, decapitated almost, actually, and they're being held sort of right in the middle where that one protest is taking place, where that person with the loudspeaker is. So not clear who they're with at this point. Still a fluid situation, lots of different people here, lots of different groups, different organizations, and we just have to see where this goes next. But again, no arrests have been made at this point. LAPD and other agencies who've responded here say they're ready for anything. I'm in downtown Los Angeles. Chelsea Edwards, let's send it back to you.
All right, Chelsea, thank you. And Scott made a really good point earlier. Oftentimes the trouble starts when the crowd starts to break up and people move into small groups and they start filtering into the city. And that's when police really have a hard time holding on to things, because there are so many different little pockets of protesters making their way out, and you lose that continuity in terms of controlling the crowd. So that's something we're going to have to watch, unfortunately, when this does start to disperse, is how the crowd reacts as it makes its way back to MacArthur Park or wherever they tend to be going.
And we did see, as Chelsea pointed out, it looked like some people starting to walk away from the crowd, starting to disperse. You would assume maybe they've reached their destination, so they figure, okay, that's over, go home. But you just don't know. And again, with somewhat of the confusion of where the destination exactly was or possibly is.
We heard Grand Park, which is close to where they are, but they're clearly not moving from this location. And you have to wonder if maybe their plan was to move onto the freeway, and that's why police are there, and that's why they're there. But we can't say for sure. But, Grand Park's only a couple blocks, to the right, it looks like, from there.
And it is nice to see everybody still looking like they were in a peaceful mood. It didn't look like there seemed to be any tension from our vantage point.
We did see the bandanas, and you see them at every one of these things, and they're really a tiny portion of the crowd always, but they're usually, if there's going to be trouble, it usually comes from the guy who's got his face covered, let's be honest. And we have seen some of that, but again, no reports of arrests so far, which is great to hear.
Yeah, look, you can see from this shot, you can see some people going kind of in each direction from the masses to the right of your screen, and then we saw some leaving from the south of your screen as well. So this may be it. People might be starting to make their way home, but we'll just have to kind of see as the end of the crowd still has not reached the destination point. They're still on their way. There's still marchers coming. So this is far from over at this point.
Scott, are you still up there with us?
Yeah, I certainly am, John. I want to push into the crowd real quick and come down a little bit, Tracy, and just push in tight. But look at the mass of people, and then I want to give you an idea how many people are still headed here. So on the left is the U.S. District Court building. On the right is the Los Angeles Mall. Up to the right portion of your screen, the top right part of your screen, you can see I don't think people are leaving, but they're just finding another place to go, and that is part of City Hall East. But we'll come out to the left. It's just, there's some flow there as you see it to the right side of your screen, but look at how many people are still coming in. Go ahead and tilt up, Tracy, to the left. And then we follow around the bend there, coming up Los Angeles Street, and you can see they're still on 3rd Street. So still some folks coming in 3rd Street, heading on to Los Angeles, coming up to Temple. And so, to give you an idea, I'm pretty sure it's 56 to 58,000 people that fill Dodger Stadium. It looks to me like it's at least a quarter of that many. I can see Dodger Stadium from here, if not more. So it is a massive, massive crowd. We'll come right back out to where they've really set up, and you can see it just sort of mushroom out. Once they stopped here in front of that U.S. District Court building, you can see it just sort of flow and get bigger and bigger and bigger as they come to a stop. So it's a pretty sensational sight. Hard to say how many people, but certainly it's massive.
Well, Scott, a couple times now during these protests, we've seen the protesters try and get on the freeway, and they're pretty close right here to the freeway. Is there a sense that maybe somebody's thinking, let's try and do it? I mean, I know the police are ready for it.
Yeah, I think the police are ready for it. I think for the police, it's a matter of picking your battles, right? I mean, you can't control a crowd in all aspects, but that's where Los Angeles crosses over the 101 freeway, right in what we call the slot in downtown. And I don't think they have any intention of allowing them to continue this way and get on the freeway. I think that's an absolute stand they're going to take. They're just not going to allow it to happen. But we don't see the crowd moving that direction. But once again, they're fickle. Once a group starts moving, we saw a lot of the protesters move in one direction, and there were no LAPD officers there, and they just all kept following whoever moved in that direction. Right now, that seems like they're pretty content to rally or end, if you will, right here at this spot, which is basically Los Angeles and Temple. But I don't think they're going to let them get up towards the freeway. That could cause some real headaches.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially with the diversity of people, we saw a lot of grandparents bringing their grandkids out, parents with their children, all different ages, and you just really would hate to see that end in this kind of way if they tried to make a push to get onto the freeway.
And the general tone has been, hey, we know we lost the election. We just want Donald Trump to know we care, we're motivated, and we're going to keep pushing our views, and they hope he listens. And there are hints that maybe he is listening. I mean, he's already made it clear Obamacare, he's not going to repeal and replace it. He's talking about saving portions of it.
Yeah, he said he's open to considering, looking at it and really reviewing it before he makes any decision.
The deport everyone who's here, illegally has now been, if you're a criminal and you do something wrong, you're going to be deported. The tone has softened dramatically since Election Day, let's be honest.
Yeah, he really has made a push to try and be more inclusive. And frankly, I think he knows that that's what he's going to have to do. He's said he's focused on a legacy. And if he wants a legacy to be positive, he's going to have to make a switch and be more inclusive of all Americans and ditch the bitter hate talk.
And it was a long, bitter campaign, and he said a lot of things, and it's probably going to take a while to fix all these wounds. And these folks are going to remind him of that if it doesn't happen. And some of them suggested maybe he needs to come out and have a speech and address this and reiterate it's time to come together.
You just think how many people were so ready for this whole campaign to end on Election Day. Right. And there was so much talk about if Trump loses, is he going to concede? And then, how many days past are we now from Election Day? And we've still seen we're on day 4 of protests here. People still upset, still not believing the results, and making their voices heard, and doing so at least at this point in a peaceful manner. So that's very encouraging to see.
We want to get an update on the crowd on the ground. Chelsea Edwards watching things for us. She's near the Federal Building. Chelsea, what are you saying?
I think just heard in my ear that we might be coming to us. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for that. And yes, we're here outside the crowd. We're right near the Los Angeles Mall, sort of near the intersection of Temple and Los Angeles Street. And got a first-time marcher here. A lot of these people that we've talked to have been out here every night since these protests started. But you're a first-timer. Tell me what motivated you to come out here on a Saturday?
I don't have work. I wanted to march before, I just couldn't, and this was like my time, so I'm here.
What was it like? Were you there at the beginning at MacArthur Park and then all the way here?
Yes, I've been here the whole time. It's one of the most powerful experiences of my life. It's unlike anything I've ever done before. When Prop 8 was passed in California, my school did some kind of protest, but I've never seen anything on this scale before. So it's really powerful and profound.
Just describe the atmosphere, the environment. I wasn't there along the entire walk. I mean, what was it like being out there, being in the middle of it?
People are angry, but aside from that, it's a massive love fest. It reminds me of when I went to a Bernie Sanders rally. Just there's like-minded people everywhere who just have this one goal, which is to make their voices heard. I don't think everyone agrees on everything here, but I think that it's just so much love, and it gives me hope. This is like the most hopeful thing I've seen in the last few days.
Do you think this is going to change anything? I mean, do you think these marches can have any sort of change or impact on what's already happened with this election?
I mean, I think it depends on what you define as changing anything. I don't think this is going to make him not become the president, but I think that this is unlike anything anyone has ever seen in terms of the reaction to the president-elect, and I think that will have an influence, at least on some level in Washington. And I can't really predict what that will be, because I honestly have no idea. It's historical, but I want to believe that this will do something and have some kind of impact.
So what are the plans going forward? I mean, we've heard different things. We've heard that people are going to maybe Grand Park, some going to City Hall, some going back to the Federal Building. Do you know what you and your group are planning on doing?
I have to go home because I have work to do, but I actually haven't really heard of people talking afterwards. People have just been screaming, all the different chants. I've heard so many.
So overall, describing this whole thing, how would you describe it?
Powerful, united, angry, but loving.
Can we get you to say your name again?
My name's Alice.
Alice, what's your last name?
My name's Alice Rona.
Alice, you're
all right. Alice, thank you so much. Hello there, sir. How are you? All right, we've got some signs we don't want to show on TV over here. But taking a look at this crowd, as she mentioned, what we've heard over and over again from different people is that this is not about anger. For this last night and the night before, marching with some of these protesters, this is more about a sense of unity. And what I've heard over and over is that this is more of a sense of love, like-minded thinkers that are gathering together, protesting what they believe was the wrong outcome of this election. And as you heard her say, just very powerful, marching along with these people. She said that she's satisfied with what's happened so far, doesn't necessarily intend to make a day out of this, but that she felt moved going along with this crowd, going from MacArthur Park to where we are now. So not clear where the rest of this crowd is going to go, whether they're going to stay here and disperse, whether some are going to go on and break up, or whether we're going to stay here for a while. That remains to be seen. But as you can see, still a peaceful crowd, people standing around here still listening to this rally that's going on those steps. We're just waiting to see what's going to happen next. Live in downtown Los Angeles, Chelsea Edwards. Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Chelsea, you see that crowd is still filtering in. It's been going on for 30 minutes or so. They've reached this destination point and people are still reaching it. So it's not quite finished yet. It's really amazing, the size of this crowd.
And, people down there that both Chelsea and Leanne were talking to saying, they don't expect to change the results of the election, but there has been a lot of discussion about the Electoral College and its use still, and whether it should be disbanded, whether we should just go to popular vote. Of course, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in the past have both expressed dislike, I guess we could say, for
until it works for you. They don't like it
exactly.
until it works.
Until it works for them.
Yeah.
But generating some discussion across the country on that issue.
Well, because it's such a mysterious operation. We don't use it for any other form of election. No other office goes through the electoral college. It's just the presidency, and we don't know who these electors are. And
a lot of people do feel that if you're asking people to vote, saying your voice matters, then you should look towards the popular vote, where every person's vote matters and is counted.
Well, and certainly people in California get cheated by the Electoral College. It's not fairly representative of the population size. The smaller states benefit from it, which is one of the reasons why it was put in place, to give them more of a say, the smaller states. Mm-hmm. But if you live in California or New York, and a candidate never bothers to come there to campaign for your vote because they don't need to, democracy's not working for you.
No. No.
I mean, I can't remember the last time a politician has come here to campaign for votes. They don't have to.
They don't have to.
They come here for money, but they never come here to campaign.
They know what we're useful for.
Yeah.
They know they can get money out, but it's not a swing state. It's always blue.
So those voters, they may have a reason to be upset. I mean.
Yeah, clearly, though, so many people. I mean, this, again, the official count was at least 3,000 people. That was from the LAPD. But as you can see, that is much more than just 3,000 people.
At least that's where we're eyeballing it.
Yeah.
And Scott Reif is eyeballing it. But keep in mind, he is an expert eyeballer from a helicopter.
Yeah.
And Scott,
how long have you been doing this?
It's a big crowd.
John, I'm not too sure when someone else was talking if you actually threw that to me, but
I called you an expert eyeballer.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be hard to live up to. We'll see at the end of the day. But yeah, I would say close to 10,000 people, and that's just from seeing other crowds. But one thing I wanted to show you there's where we're at. We're at Temple in Los Angeles. Want to tilt up now. Some people are starting to filter out. We are seeing people leaving, small groups starting to head out. But as we tilt up and then off to the right, the top part of your screen, there's still a lot of folks coming in. That's up Los Angeles or San Pedro, then on to Temple towards Los Angeles. But as we continue to the right, there's still some people on 3rd Street. So it's not nearly as many people on some of those, surface streets coming in as we saw before. But there's still a lot of folks that aren't quite here yet. We'll come back to the spot where everybody was gathered. And one thing in perspective, compared to, say, the Laker Parade, everything has gone very, very well with this. The Laker Parade went great as well until the end, and then there was an element that came up to that parade that really was just there to cause problems. We haven't seen anything like that today. It's been very peaceful, very cooperative. We haven't seen anything going on that would cause concern at this point.
Let me stop this for a second on the sound here. This is what I want to tell y'all. While I kept saying, other people kept saying the same thing. Black people, stay out of that mess. I'm gonna keep saying that. I keep seeing y'all saying this stuff in the comment section. Stay out of that crowd. Don't be in there. Leave it alone. That's everybody else's fight. And the reason why I keep saying that is because when we was getting dealt with and all the police kept shooting us down. Okay, Alasia. When all these things were happening to us, we didn't have 10,000 people show up for, when people were dying at all. So that's the only thing I'm going to say just real quick. We'll go back to the regular scheduled programming.
Looks like it may be winding down. Police keeping a very watchful eye, of course. Scott mentioned the worry is when people do start breaking off and heading back to their cars or wherever they came from, you do get once in a while, you get some trouble from small groups of agitators. And there are some agitators in this crowd, or people who appear like they're ready for trouble, people wearing bandanas, covering, disguising their identity. So that is there, and we'll keep an eye on things, certainly. That is going to wrap up our coverage for now, though. Certainly, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, keep it updated, or keep checking back in with us on abc7.com, also on our social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We will continue to keep you updated there. And then, of course, join us for the 4 o'clock news. That's coming up after football today. Enjoy your day.
All right. So, as you heard just now, they had wrapped it up. But this is the thing. There's a lot of people protesting, a lot of people upset, a lot of people are afraid. They're talking about sexism, they're talking about racism and everything else to go along with that. So what I say about all that is, y'all stay out of it. Stay out of it. Don't get involved. It's time for everybody else to fight their own battles. And like I said earlier in the comment section, notice that lady said that we don't have the organization and you don't have the voices either. So what they're going to try to do, what's going to happen, they're going to try to tap Black Lives Matter to come organize for them. They're going to start reaching out to other people, other leaders who are black, or someone with some sort of charismatic voice to start speaking up more for them, because they do not actually have the voice to do it. So expect that to start happening. And well, we'll see, because I don't see Black Lives Matter out there. I don't see them with their T-shirts on saying Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is on that. So I'm not for going out there. I told y'all that. I ain't for any of it. We gonna just go ahead on and keep our thing rolling and do it as we must. But we're not gonna do that. I'm not promoting black people to go out there and do that mess because we fight everybody's battles, everybody's. But we don't get that kind of coalition for our battles. You get what I'm saying? We don't get it. Not at all. You know, black people come out, fight the feminist battles. Black people come out, fight everybody's battles. But then you don't get it back in return. So forget that. Sit yourself at home. Just don't even worry about it. We're going to look right now. We see if we can find any more protests right now. Now, they was talking about doing a anti-Trump rally. All these people doing these anti-Trump rallies, like I said, just leave it alone. Don't fool with it. I don't know why y'all out there doing that. Hey guys, y'all quiet down just a little bit. You don't mind? So it still got some aerial, at least from this one here. So we'll kind of see, we'll pull this one up here for a minute or so. Let me see, I can go ahead and put this back on here for y'all. Y'all just kind of get some, a little bit of picture here. All right. They just kind of showing what's going on, but they're not actually having sound for some reason. So we'll see. We'll wait. But yeah, it is what it is, guys. On that, so hope you guys having a great Saturday and everything. And there's some other things I needed to do as well. But I just want to kind of show you guys that these protests are still going on. I'm kind of proud that I don't see Black Lives Matter spread out all across that, or any other black group spread out across that, because I think it's time for everybody else to fight, that battle and not let us get involved with it. Because, Donald Trump, he's the only thing he's going to do for black people is just help us wake up. So we need that. Everybody else fearing Trump. They fearing Trump. I don't fear nobody but the Lord. So, and then when you have all these, white supremacists come along and say, oh, you guys just don't want to work. It lets you know that, like, they don't come from underneath their trailer park enough to know how other people feel, what they want to do. Because I can tell you about a lot of black people, all of them will love 6-figure jobs, all of them, or if not a 6-figure income, at least making, 60, 70, 80, $90,000. Most black men I know want that, who don't have it. So, but you have people that live underneath the trailer park, those who don't get education, those who only watch Fox News all day, and don't know anything about other groups of people. They will say ignorant comments like that. But really, they have Republican counties that they're all on food stamps. And I remember seeing that video a long while ago. It's like they all vote Republican, but all of them on food stamps. So the one person was asking, well, why do you vote Republican if you're actually on food stamps and probably benefit more from Democratic policies? And say, oh, no, well, we believe in our values and all this other stuff. But yeah, but your values is hard work, right? Not government programs. But like I said before, and I'm keep saying this, everybody wants government welfare. Period. Because if you was truly about doing for self, I'm talking about some of these people who believe in, they say, oh, you just need to get a job. Well, then why are you depending on the government to provide you a job? That's still a form of welfare, giving you something that you didn't actually go out and earn. You should go out and find your own job or create your own job. Then the government didn't give you anything. Actually, the government be taking it from you in the form of taxes. You get what I'm saying? You know, I've heard people walking out of school. I've heard all kind of things. You get what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping on none of this, because the only way to help, like I said, I can't speak on other groups, but I know that to help the black community, we need this. That's why I say Trump announced, but the thing is, what I'm seeing about Trump, what in the, oh no, I got to go outside and spray there. I mean, I don't know why some wasps are flying up there by my window. I'm looking at them, but I got some spray that I can take care of them wasps, knock them down real quick. Anyway, we need to build our economy, and we cannot build our economy if we do not do for self. Ain't gonna be no such thing as no race war. The black people ain't gonna participate in it. Y'all gonna do that, not us. Y'all not gonna forget that. We not participating in nothing. That's why y'all keep talking about that mess. That's why I'm warning black people. Stay home. Stay home. Stay home. I don't want them to pull out that military gear on you and try to target you for being out there. You know how they are when you come out there. You get what I'm saying? I want them to protest Trump and do it on their own. We just sit back and watch it like we're doing on the live streams, right? If they want to start rounding people up and putting them in FEMA camps, and if they want to start enacting martial law and all that, hey, it's whatever. I ain't out there. You not out there. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can go back and see if I can get one. Just let me black this out for a second. Let's see if I can go back and get one that maybe have a better. No, it's the only one I see live though. What I said, it was live, is live. Yeah, that's the only one that we have is live. It's still the same one. It's no different. But it is what it is. Now that kind of crowd is the one person say love, not hate. You got to tell that to your American government. See, let me tell y'all something right then and there. That's the quickest way for me to block you. I'm letting you know if I'm making a point about something, all you say is, well, Phil is a racist. It lets me know that you don't know the definition of racism. And since you don't know the definition of racism, I block you every time, because that's not one word you can actually use toward me. It's that word, because you don't know what it means. A person who is a racist believes their race is superior to other people. Me telling black people to stay at home, it has nothing to do with superiority. Me telling black people to stay out of it has nothing to do with racial superiority. It's about letting other people deal with Trump. That's it. We need to stay out of it. We don't need to be involved with that mess. I keep telling y'all that stuff. Ever since the Revolutionary War, we have fought their battles. The very first person that died for America was a black man by the name of Crispus Attucks. Not even a white man was the first one to die for this country. We need to stop fighting all these battles, and nobody can. Look, listen, I'll join a coalition all day as long as that coalition join with me. I'm serious. If you join my coalition to help me, then I'll join your coalition when you in need. That's called allies. How is it that we are the people that's allied with everybody? We fight everybody's battles. We go to jail. We get beat up. We get the brunt of the everything. But then when it's our turn, we don't get the help. All we do get some is very minimal. It's not in the amount that we have done it. You get what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. And this is what I have seen. This is what I've seen. And I'm telling y'all, watch, just like I told y'all about, it's like, I hate to say I see these things coming. Like I told y'all about election night. I seen all this stuff coming ahead of time. they gonna start trying to really tell you stuff, and some of them may tell me something I don't even know. Oh, well, why don't you speak about this, and but we need your help. And I'm like, wait. All this time when I was talking about all this other stuff with black people getting killed, y'all didn't come to me or come to whoever to say you was gonna help us. That's the only thing I'm saying. The only thing I'm willing to help you with is an economic boycott, because that's in our interest. We could join on the economic boycott. I will super cop up with you all day long about an economic boycott. You want to boycott something? Let's start with Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Christmas. Let's all boycott that. Let them same 10,000 people that's out there hold their money in their pockets. Let's start that way. How about we do that? But we are not going to be risking our bodies and our lives out there with them people. They're waiting for us to show up out there so they can start killing us. They can't wait to kill us. So forget that. We have to be smart, black people. We have to be smart. We have to adapt, learn very well. It's a time to be out there and doing that. And it's a time to sit down too. It's a time to fight financially. It's a time to fight with your voice. Like trust me, all these jokers all day long. I'm telling you, this stuff, and I'm gonna keep saying this is white people's business. Stay out of their business. Stay out. Stay out of their business. This liberal and conservative stuff, this white folk stuff, they developed that themselves. Oh, okay, Adelina. Hey. Don't make her cry, please. Well, you know what? What's this guy's name right here? Where is it? Yeah, I don't understand it, why they here either. I say the same thing. Well, as you can see, they're steady marching down the street. Now I don't know why they're not running no sound though. That's the crazy part. Whoever Felicia Vaughn, if you're on the line, thank you, Felicia Vaughn, for the $5 pledge on Patreon, and also Daryl Newsom a pledge on a donation to PayPal. Appreciate that. Thank you guys very much. The more, like I said before, the more you guys support, the more we can do. We're trying to develop every way possible to bring more and more, different news and different topics and things like that. Oh, and also one more thing. I have people that come to me and tell me, and then some of them have been these, some of them have been white people actually, telling me why I haven't covered certain stories. The answer to that is, did you go to Alex Jones and ask Alex Jones why didn't he cover when the black people were beat up by the white supremacists? Because you know that Alex Jones on the show what happens to white people. Did you go to Bill O'Reilly and ask him the questions like that? Do you go to Breitbart or any of them other, websites and ask them why they don't post stuff about black people and what's happening with black folks? See, this is the thing. You go to somebody like me and ask me why I don't do that, but you never go to them white folks and tell them that. Why is that? That's just a question that I have. I mean, you already know what I'm about already. I'm about fighting for the people. You know that. That's dog Black Kings, you right. Attention black people. We are not participating in no anti-Trump protests. We ain't participating in crap. We just watching the people right now march down the street. Let them do it. But we not participating. Because I don't have to answer a question if I don't choose to. That's the beauty of it. I can answer a question or I don't have to answer a question. It's that simple. I don't have to answer why I post certain stories. I don't have to answer why I don't post certain stories. I don't have to answer to you because nobody is my boss that tell me about anything about a story to post. Maybe I don't want to post it. Maybe I don't have enough commentary in my mind. I feel that would be useful. It could be that. Maybe I'm not interested in it. Maybe because the white supremacists have ruined everything, we can't have an objective conversation anymore. You ever thought about that? Because at one point in time, I used to post those kind of things a lot, but we didn't have these white supremacists flooding the channel. So if I maybe would post something like that, I would have to cut the comments off because the white supremacists have really act amok now. And I hate to punish the subscribers who have nothing to do with that in the comments section where they can't comment. And then I don't have time to approve comments either. So maybe I just don't want to post it. So go ask Alex Jones or Breitbart to go post the stories where you feel like you're so much of a doggone victim. Oh no, I'm asking because I choose to. It's not. No, I'm not obligated to do anything. You're right. The only thing I'm obligated to do is take care of my family, help my people, breathe, eat, try to live life. You know, that sort of thing. That's what I have to do. Anything else is a choice. Okay, well, if that's the way you feel, what's this person's name? Well, then why are you here then? Why are you here trolling? This Ashley person. If you want to come back and troll Ashley, you have to donate $100 to the PayPal account. Then we will let you troll because you paid $100 to troll at that point. Okay. I know, and I'm starting to look at the comment section now, and when they troll, then I'm gonna block them and I'm gonna tell them, hey, it's gonna cost you $100 and you can come back and troll. Forget that. You're gonna troll, you have to pay for it. But you can talk for free all day long. But anyway, it's like you see the people trying to come through, you know, they still marching. Let's see if they go on the highway. Cause you know the police are trying to keep them from the highway. It look like they are marching toward that highway area. Oh, people will always troll. You say the mic is cutting out? Let's see what's wrong. Let me check what's going on, guys, and I'll find out. Let me go on my actual phone here. All right. Anyway, yeah, it's not really the time like you said before to be doing all that. But the trolls is gonna do what they do. When y'all was talking about that, I heard about that, and if I could find a live stream of that, I would actually show that as well. Because it would be interesting to watch a live stream of the Ku Klux Klan having a rally. It'll be interesting. Oh, look like the police out there. Police. Now the police got their stand. Man, see this. Now this will be the time to hear sound to see what the police trying to do. Cause all them people out there. My thing is, them people want to actually act a fool. There ain't no police out there to stop them. There's too many people out there. The protest is taking place in Los Angeles. Man, this is not the Klan rally. Tony Woods, if you're on the live stream right now, thank you for the pledge of $10. I appreciate that. We'll make sure to send you the Patreon exclusive playlist so you can see the videos that's only for the Patreon members. Yes, we do make some videos that's only exclusive for the Patreon members to see, be behind the scenes stuff or just things that's going on with the platform itself. On Patreon, you can message me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Because the people on Patreon, make sure to take care of them because they're definitely going above and beyond to monthly support the platform. So I want to definitely give you all the access that you need to me or anything that you need to know by being on our Patreon. So, thank you for those who are on the Patreon. Our ultimate goal is to get about 1,000 people to join us on Patreon at the minimum of $5 a month. Now you would like to donate more, that'd be great too. But if we had got at least a minimum of 1,000 people total on our Patreon at $5 a month, we could do so much more. It would definitely free me up to put more things on. I want to really double and triple my production on the volume of news stories and stuff like that, but it's going to cost a little bit more money to do that. And so the more you guys support, the more I do. When you see, let's say you're looking at the different live streams we're doing now, the funds that come in helps pay for programs. Well, you could do things like that because you have to spend the money sometime to make things better. And that's where we want to do. So, yeah, I heard about T.I. being at the Trump Tower. I heard about that. But T.I. have been opening his eyes lately. I have been noticing that. He said you're waiting for the violence to happen. You say, I'm black and don't care. Trump's in office and get EBT and Section 8. Trust me, if Trump cut EBT and Section 8 off, it's going to be bad. It ain't going to be black folks that going to be the main ones that be pissed off on that. I promise you that one. Okay, well, if blacks are so violent, then why are you here? That's what I don't understand. Like, why are you here? Like, you white supremacist Neanderthals amaze me. It's because if you think that stuff, why are you here? I don't understand that. I don't know. I need to actually talk to a psychologist and try to find out their mentality because I really need to understand it. I think it could help me more in my commentary if I talk about these people and look at their mentality, because their mentality is so bad that they risk their careers. I mean, my thing is, if I hate somebody, I'm not about to hate you to the point that I'm going to take food out of my kid's mouth and lose my job, lose my business, lose my reputation. That's when I say I know the limit. But these people, they have so much hate for black people or whoever else they hating at the time, right? Well, there's a lot of people out there. I wish they had the sound, but they just don't have the sound. They just doing kind of like an aerial. That's a lot of people out there. But like I said, ain't no way I'm going to sit up there and hurt myself on my finances. Yeah, they love black people. They can't stay away from black people. Think about it. When black people, look, you really want to see how much they love black people? Start like a post on Facebook or somewhere. And just experiment. This is like a social experiment. Like, you're not really meaning what you're about to say, but just say, you know what? I've learned that, these white supremacists hate black people so much. So we just need to separate. We need a separation from them. Just start saying that. Watch how many white folks gonna come against you for saying that. Not black folks, white folks. They're going to be like, why you want to segregate and why you want to separate? We tried that already. That didn't work. And I like they get offended when you say separate. But then you remember the interview I did with Dr. Robin DiAngelo, and she was saying that white people don't have to face the reality of race. And when black people, any group of people say they want to separate away from white people, they realize, okay, we are white and we now have to deal with race because they don't want to be with us due to that. So we are deeply offended. And please watch the interview that I did with Dr. Robin Oh, you know, you hear my little girl? She's so loud in here. Later.